The next match, Brian, let me ask you what you think this did for anybody's business. Swerve Strickland versus, now, I should preface, it was supposed to be that red hot angle finally coming to a boiling point with Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee. Remember, because Swerve broke a cinder block over him about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, as we recall, barely, only because it was so preposterous at the time that you could double stomp a cinder block into a fat man's belly and it would powderize itself instead of the belly being ripped asunder. Nevertheless, they're finally going to have a match. And then earlier in the day or the day before, whenever it was, Keith Lee is injured. He apparently got injured on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view that apparently happened at some point. And should we just call it? Should we call it on Keith Lee and everybody go home? It doesn't look like the rain's going to let up. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember where it was. I read an interview or quotes with him from a few days before. And it was like, I'm really banged up, I'm hurting, but I'm doing everything I can to make it to the pay-per-view. And then they announced he was off the pay-per-view. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I mean, I liked him in NXT. Whatever issues he had on the main roster under Vince McMahon as the Bearcat, who knows?
But I'll tell you what, Bearcat Lee looks good from what he's done the last 2 years.
But he got to AEW, and in that time, I mean, the only thing he had going, I guess, was the tag team with Swerve. And then they broke up and never did anything again other than Rick Ross called him a big motherfucker on live TV. And then they had no feud. That was it.
And wait a minute. I just realized something. They have made history. Never before in the history of the wrestling industry since television went on the air and was invented has the shining, most memorable moment of a wrestler's career with a promotion on television being called a motherfucker.
You know, and then the other thing, he was trying to get there, and then Tony Khan said he wasn't cleared. So what exactly is the injury? What wasn't he cleared to wrestle for?
I don't know, but remember, and I'm not making fun of this guy's health and injury. I'm saying perhaps this is not going to work. Remember, he was off for months and months with a COVID-related problem. And then he's been injured multiple times. And as well, his weight seemed to fluctuate somewhat, let's say that. And he's in his late 30s. We've looked that up. It might be that he's starting to damage himself with not a large element of return on the horizon, especially the way that these imbeciles have booked him. And that, to be honest, he apparently insists on talking like he talks in the promos, which doesn't do him any favors. And we've seen his matches for the last year or two, whether it's injury or illness related, a couple of amazing feats of agility for a guy that size and a lot of slow nothing. And the slow nothing has been increasing and the feats of agility have been decreasing. So anyway, nevertheless, Keith Lee was not involved in this. It was Dustin Rhodes, that red hot goddamn program. And I wrote at the time, as soon as they're coming to the ring, I said, okay, at least this is going to be a better match. And Dustin Rhodes will lead this thing, and we're going to see how good Swerve really is without doing the aggressive parkour and the excessive tumbling that he sometimes finds himself getting lost in the weeds with with one of his age generation, right? I'm thinking this will be a real good old-fashioned wrestling match with a fucking professional like Dustin Rhodes leading it. Boy, howdy, they're going to tear the building down. I didn't realize they were going to do an angle in a fucking cold match to make Swerve now not only a baby terrorizer, but the most popular legend mutilator in fucking...
If it takes you 20 minutes to mutilate a legend.
Well, but...
This went a long time.
Yes, and at the same time, they did a hospitalization angle followed by a 20-minute match.
Which was good for what it was.
But no, there's a reason for this. So let me tell the people, because I'm sure most of you listening did not see this. Before Dustin can step through the ropes, Swerve jumpstarts it and knocks him to the floor and posts him and runs him into the rail a couple of times and into the stairs and gives him a running knee into the stair sandwich type of maneuver. What a maneuver. Pulls out a cinder block. Prince Nana holds Dustin's ankle on the cinder block. Swerve gets up on the apron, milks it forever. Dustin he's having to lay there and keep his leg on the cinder block. And then he does the double stomp off the apron onto the ankle on the cinder block, which breaks. It doesn't powderize, at least this time, but it does break. And nobody was trying to help. The referee was standing there, mouth agape, arms akimbo. Dustin sold the ankle big, but then suddenly, as soon as the guy who was standing in front of the firing squad has been shot, the fucking doctor rushes in to see if he can save him. Why didn't you say, wait, don't shoot, mother? All the doctors and the referees are checking the guy with the fucking obviously broken leg, because how would the bone not break if the cinder block did? And I'm thinking, Swerve is the most popular babyface or most popular heel in wrestling. The people like him. But do they want to cheer him so he terrorizes infants and cripples legends? What is the psychology behind this, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking Dustin's going to be taken out and somebody's going to come in to, take up for him and get even for him or whatever. That's going to lead to a big match with Swerve. Maybe they'll shoot an angle or whatever. And the doctors and the referees are helping Dustin to the back, and Swerve's standing there in the ring. And Dustin turns around, and he wants to go back. And now they've been helping him. Now they turn around and they're helping him limp to the fucking ring. Wait, what the fuck? I understand breaking loose from goddamn people and running back to the ring, but when you have the people that are helping you because you can't walk, say, no, turn me around. Dave, help me back. I can't walk, but fuck it, I'm going back in there. And they do it, including the doctor that's so concerned with the health and safety of the athletes in the safest wrestling company in the world. And Dustin rolls in the ring and talks to the referee forever. And I'm thinking, seriously, what? No, they can't. And Dustin pulls himself up to his feet, and the referee rings a fucking bell. And now, I'm thinking, after a hospitalization angle, they're going to have a match. And it went again on and on. I won't even bother to tell you the preposterosity and the ludicrousness of... And, I mean, Dustin, he was making a comeback. He got false finishes. They went back and forth some. He got to punch Nana. Nana took a nice bump. Dustin did all kind of shit. And then, finally, the finish was Swerve kicked him that sideways kick in the head twice and hit the double stomp off the top, 1, 2, 3. In the flattest finish to the stupidest angle that I've ever seen. Actually, it was 10 minutes bell to bell after the whole rigmarole with the cinder block and the attack and the breaking of the ankle and etc. But what the fuck are they doing? This is the point where I had to take a break from the show. I was watching it on DVR and I said, fuck it. I went and did, I can't even remember what I did for a couple hours, but I didn't want to see any more of this. What? Help me with this. Why?
You could have either done the angle or done the match. Or done the angle after the match. I mean, you didn't have to do it this way. Or if you were going to do the angle and then the match had to be like 30 seconds. Dustin did a great job. I'm not saying Dustin didn't do a great job. He was great.
No.
He's always great. It's the reasoning behind all of this that makes no sense. Again, Swerve is becoming a bigger and bigger babyface by just being a heel, which says a lot about the fan base there. But it doesn't help him too, even though he won and he beat up Dustin. It took him forever to do it. And this also may not have been the place in the card. This was the place in the show to do this if it was 5 minutes or less. Not if it was this long, coming after everything we had just seen.
Well, there's more to see.